Hey everybody, Wayne here. In today's overview and review, I'm taking a look at SPQR, the Battle of Alesia, 52 BC, designed by Joe Fernandez and published by Art of Wargames. Alesia is a solitaire wargame where you play as Julius Caesar and his Roman soldiers, attempting to defend your siege of Alesia from attacks from both the Gauls inside Alesia, led by Vercingetorix, and the Gaelic relief force. This game doesn't use a traditional turn system. Instead, you flip a card over and play out what is called a bellum round, bellum being Latin for war or warfare. You keep flipping cards and playing through these rounds until the victory conditions are met, either for your Romans or the Gauls. Let's do a quick overview. I have a playthrough video for an in-depth look at the game. I'll cover my pros and cons and my final thoughts. All right, let's get out of the table. All right, let's do our overview. So I have the board set up for the beginning of a game. You can see the play area in the middle, and then on the outside border at the top is just going to be the name of the game. On the right-hand side, you're going to be keeping track of Caesar's actions, and on the bottom, a couple holding boxes, places for cards, and then the bellum round sequence of play. So kind of working our way around clockwise, Caesar's actions here on the right. Every bellum round, which is every draw of a card, which I'll explain as I get to it, you're going to roll 1d6 and determine how many Caesar actions you have. Those actions are going to be used to move or engage in reactionary combat with your legions here in the play area. And I'll cover the play area last. Below the Caesar actions, you have Marcus Antonius. This is a special action, a special thing you can do once per game. Getting down to the bottom, you see the cards here. So this is related to the bellum round, or the war round. So the cards in this game are going to drive the Gaelic bot, and they're also going to have the random events, and they're going to create a lot of the randomness and replayability that the game has. So for instance, flipping over the first card, first off, you can see there's actually there's a top we can read, and then there's an upside down part. When you are assembling the deck, it's 24 cards, you're going to flip half of them around and shuffle them together. So each time you play, you're going to have a mix of events and actions, and the other half, right, so 24, right, it's a total of 48. You're only going to use 24, though, potentially recycling if you reshuffle the deck, but you're not going to have a certain number of them, 24 of them in each game. So it increases replayability and randomness. So looking at it here, very simple. First off, you have where you are drawing and placing 2 Gaelic relief force on Area 3, or Roman Camp 3, and then this one has no event. And I'll explain what that means in a second. This other side, which would be, say, in a different game, draw and place 1 Alesia unit on Area 3, event, Signa Romanum, plus 1 DRM on a Legion of Choice. What does that mean? Very simple. So draw and place 2 Gaul relief force. The Gaul relief forces are going to come from a chit cup. They're going to come from exterior, right? They're attacking the circumvallation walls. They're attempting to lift the siege of Alesia. If you happen to draw a card that has Alesia unit, they're going to be one of the Gaelic forces here in the middle, in Alesia. Next, you have the event. So whether it's no event or it's something like this, plus 1 DRM to your Legion of Choice, you can take like a good reminder, plus 1 DRM, and set it on one of your legions, reminding you, hey, you're going to have a plus 1 on your die roll modifier for that upcoming combat if it occurs. The cards here, and related to the bellum round, and now we'll go to the bellum round here, drives the game, right? It's not a traditional turn structure. You use the bellum rounds, which you are, in this game, drawing a card, placing those Gaelic units, right, whether they are coming from the outside or from Alesia. They're going in one of these camps, and this is where we'll go ahead and look at the play area itself. So you have Alesia in the middle. You can see a contravallation wall and then a circumvallation wall. And you can see these red dotted areas. Each of these is a different Roman camp. This is the play area broken up into 7 different areas for you. You're going to have your Roman legions defending within the walls, and you're going to have the Gaelic forces attacking from inside and from outside. When they are placed, so say Alesia unit to Area 3, they're going to come from the inside and move to the inside of the wall here in Area 3, right? Because they have to gain that wall. They have to attack through the wall, which is going to give a DRM, right, for a wall, unless if the Gauls are attacking and they have a ladder unit, which you can find here on the Gaul relief forces. You can see the nice little ladder icon in the corner. Units are pretty standard when it comes to these war games, right? You have Your iconography going to tell you, which faction they are. It's going to match, kind of what that warrior would have looked like back then. And then you're going to have combat factor number on there as well. So 3 for the Roman legionary here, 2 for this Gaelic ladder unit. Again, this is a ladder unit. If he's present at a camp, he's going to cancel the DRM for the wall. How the game works is when the Gaelic forces are attacking from the outside, attacking from the inside, right, trying to break out, you're going to go around after you've given your orders. So you're going to be placing the units, you draw a card, you place the Gaelic units, you play any event that occurs, you're going to roll for your orders, you're going to conduct your orders. So that will be, say you have, a bunch of Gaelic units here attacking an area, Camp 3, you want to reinforce it. You want to spend, one of your actions to move, say, this Legion unit up here. And maybe you spend your last action to send Caesar to give a +2. Or maybe you're going to spend your last action to send the Germanic cavalry that Caesar had and send them over here to help against the Gaelic cavalry, etc. You are going to use what actions you have. You may have more, you may have less, to try to hold on, to try to reinforce the areas that are under attack. You will then go into combat phase, which is where you will conduct combat going around clockwise, Camp 1, Camp 2, Camp 3, etc., and working your way around. Watch my playthrough for in-depth on how the combat works, attacking areas, moving into areas, and then how they move around. I'm not going to go into all those details. After that combat, you can potentially have a Roman combat. If you've spent a Caesar's action and are proactive, you want to have your own attack. That'll allow you to attack reduced units, say before they're removed from the map, and go back into the cup. Because ultimately, your goal, right? So all this, you're defending, they're trying to break out or trying to relieve the siege. Victory conditions. At the end of it, you are trying to destroy 16 Gaelic units. You can see the Gaul casualties and Roman casualties boxes. You're trying to get 16 units here. They're trying to knock out 6. They knock out 6 of your Roman legions. You're done for. You knock out 16 of theirs, you got the victory. So we'll go ahead and watch my playthrough for both an example, in-depth example of how the game works, and also a very nice Roman victory. I think that's it, how it covers at least the basics of the game. There's definitely some more to it. Chieftain Warcry, depending on events, they can get a little bonus, +1 DRM. So say you'll see an event, they'll say, oh, Vercingetorix joins the breakout attempt, and he'll suddenly give a +1. Just little things like that, some little bits of chrome. We'll talk about some of that later. But other than that, that should give a good idea, overview of the game. Let's go on to my pros and cons. And as always, cons first. All right. My first issue is the rule book. Now, it's far from the worst I've seen. And I do love the examples of gameplay that are featured at the end of it, after the designer notes and the history, which also I do enjoy that those are included. But some of the rules, just as written, left me with questions. It's only has maybe, 5 pages of actual rules, but I did have to look on Board Game Geek for some answers, and I had to work out a few things on my own, which means I'm still not sure if I'm playing the game 100% correctly, which is never a great feeling, right? A general tightening up of the rules, and maybe a more comprehensive sequence of play, step by step, would be really helpful. My second con is the game's artwork and overall graphical presentation. I believe Joe, the designer, did the art himself, and while he certainly did better than I could ever do, at the end of the day, just being honest, it just doesn't look like a professionally designed game package. To take the presentation to the next level, to take the game to the next level, to really increase that immersion factor of the game, I'd love to see, the game maybe redone at some point with professional artwork. Everything from the map, the play area, to the counters themselves, to even the cards. They're just a little plain. And this is a small thing, but I wish the dice that came with it were a red and a green. So it comes with 2 red. I had to bring in my own. I just brought in a red and a green. I could use one of the reds there. But basically, generally speaking, for most of the combats, or all the combats, you're going to be rolling both a red for the Romans and a green for the Gaelic forces. Well, if you roll these, you don't know whose is whose, right? So you have to have separately colored dice. They don't even have to be red and green, technically, just separately colored, right? You have to be able to assign a color to a certain side. And I think the rulebook mentions a red die and a green die. So I don't know if the intention was to put red and green instead of 2 reds, but just FYI, yeah, definitely you're going to want to get your own, if not red and green, at least, a separate color. Have a red and a white one to represent the Gaelic forces, whatever you want to do. Okay, that's it for the cons. On to the pros. First off, I love how fast Alesia is to learn and play. There are a few Alesia games out there, and I've played several, and most of them are pretty epic in size and scope, right? Which is only fair for a battle with such epic history. But it is great having the choice of a game that you can both learn and play your first game in an afternoon. It's also easy to stop in the middle if you have to, since the game is played, one card at a time, and each card round, right, the Bellum round, plays fairly quickly. You can flip some cards, right, play them out, and then step away from the table. Second, for such a simple game, I love how Joe has sprinkled those bits of chrome in Alesia that make you feel like you are playing out this particular battle. Caesar's Germanic cavalry, having Marcus Antonius, having that sort of chieftain random event, the double walls, how that affects being attacked from both sides during a single combat potentially. The random reinforcements hitting you at different areas from the inside or outside. All of which it feels like it just fits that history of the battle perfectly. Those are the things that Caesar had to react to, right? Is he never knew he had the walls, but he didn't know exactly where the attacks were going to come from, and it showed, right? He had to send his cavalry at times to relieve or maneuver forces, and he was a very active commander, maneuvering his men around to defend the walls, both sides of the walls. Those little, design choices and aspects of the game, it just fits the Siege of Alesia perfectly. Third, and I suppose this does tie into my first pro, I love the smaller physical size of the game. Every single game on Alesia I played comes on either a full-size wargame map, right, 24 by 34 or whatever, or even 2 maps or maybe more, right? This version by Joe Fernandez, as you can see, it fits great on a smaller table, and in the spirit of a game with light rules like this, it just fits it perfectly. Fourth, replayability is high on this one. Yes, it's the same battle and the same map each time, but the system the designer has created introduces enough randomness to keep things interesting for multiple games. First off, there are the 24 cards in the game, with each having separate sides, right? Creating 48 distinct possibilities. But you only use one side during each game, even if you're shuffling the deck. So that creates that much more variety from the cards in future games. Second, due to the randomness of those cards and the randomness of the chit pull, Gaelic reinforcements will come in at any of the 7 Roman camps, and they're going to vary in their strength and whether there's, for instance, ladder units available. You never know which Gauls and where they're going to press the attack on your walls. All right, that's it for my pros and cons. Let's end with my final thoughts. SPQR, the Battle of Alesia 52 BC, is one of those really simple games that, while not perfect, does what it is designed to do very well. It's inexpensive, it's easy to learn, fast to play, and if you're able to leave the game set up wherever you play, you can also step away from it in the middle of a game and come right back. I do wish the rulebook was a little tighter and the artwork more professional looking. Those two things being improved would really elevate Alesia to a higher level. Regardless, I can easily recommend this game as it is for anyone looking for a solitaire wargame with a Roman theme, especially if you want one on the lighter side with a smaller table presence. The theme on this one really shines through. At this point in my reviews, I usually provide a reading recommendation, and there are countless great books covering the siege itself, Caesar's Conquest of Gaul, or Caesar's life in general that I could recommend that I've read. But just for this video, to keep the focus on this battle, I'm actually going to recommend a YouTube video. Caesar's masterpiece, Siege of Alesia 52 BC by History Marsh. It's a 34-minute video and worth every minute. Watch it, and not only will you appreciate Caesar's genius, it will definitely put you in the mood to play this game. Thank you to everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Please let me know what you think of my video and this game in the comments below. And until next time, everyone, later.